So again, were there any issues with 3G? Any questions with 3G? Some of you will probably be get it started on that this week. Okay, in that case, um, if you have anything, remember it's due on Friday. So we do have Thursday. Maybe when you're going through it, some of you may already be done. I know a few of you, a few students have turned it in already. Um, so if you haven't got a chance to even get started on it, I understand. It's due on Friday, so maybe take some time to get into it this week, before Thursday at least. That way you can come in and we can get any questions settled that may come up. Um, you all are doing fairly well. Make sure you continue to go back and um, do corrections for your submitted assignments. I know in the first one we had some people may have accidentally submitted the scripture lecture instead of the actual assignment. So it looks like we got all of those corrected and everyone's moving on a positive track. So let's keep that going. All right, in that case, we're going to move on to scripture lecture for 4A. And so, per usual, the beginning of each module, there is some supplemental instruction that you can go look at on gcflearnfree.org in their Excel section. So just from these topics here, you could probably guess we're going to look at some more stuff, some more formulas. It says more complex formulas. A complex formula just means that we're utilizing a function built into the formula that we're creating. I don't really think of them as complex, but most textbooks involving Excel will say that. But you guys have done complex functions when you've been doing when you've been taking the auto sum, you've done count, you've done if statements. You've already been doing what they call complex functions. Now, did you feel they were complex? Right. So don't be taken aback by that word or think that, oh man, things are getting so much harder now. But then also relative and absolute cell references. So that's come up since the second week, and it will continue to come up. I believe you guys have begun to get a handle on it. Relative references for our cells. Whenever we make a copy of it or we move it, it will move relative to whatever cell it's in. So if we're in, for instance, cell, I'll get Excel actually open soon. It's opening now. But like we were in cell A1 and I copied down, it would go down to second row. So then it will be referring to A2. So give you a quick example of that. I said this, oh yeah, need to enable editing because it's coming from the internet. Got to make sure there are no viruses. So just for an example, if I said this was equal to A2, as I copied this down, because I'm moving down from 2 to 3, this will now reference A3. Okay. If I were to move to the right, because this is referencing A2, when I move to the right, that will become B2. Okay. And so that's how relative references work. Absolute references are more like your standard copy that you would think of. If I say I want A2 and I do an absolute reference, it's going to be exactly A2. And you all have seen the difference between those two is, yes, you've seen the difference between those two is just the use of those dollar signs. So the dollar signs is where you had that absolute reference, meaning it's gonna look exactly like that no matter what I do. So here's A2. If I move this down, this is also going to be A2 because I said it needs to be exactly A2. That's what those dollar signs mean. The dollar sign tells it needs to be exactly A. This one says exactly 2. So together, it exactly needs to be A2. No matter how I move it, it's never going to change from A2. In the other example that I showed just before that, notice there are no dollar signs. And so when I do copy this, say downward, imagine this guy moved downward. Where would it go? it would go to A3 and show periods, years. So when I do the same thing here, if I move it, copy it down, it also moves to A3, periods and years. If I were to copy it to the right, because it was at A2, if I move to the right, it would go to B2. Well, notice it did the same thing. That's a relative reference. Absolute reference, it leaves it exactly the same. It absolutely always refers back to that cell. Relative reference, it relatively refers back to whatever's near the cell we started with. Okay. All right. So this will come up a lot, especially as we get into the assignment. So let's go back here to Chrome. Any questions there? We will look at some more. We'll look at both of these throughout this module. So over the next 2 weeks. So I don't want you to think like that, oh, this is a one-time shot that he just showed us. So no, we're going to look at it a couple of times. But all right, let's move forward then. So per usual, you can read through project A and B. These will be the first assignments during the week as well. Your pages are listed. There is a video going over an older version of 4G that you can use as a reference. Remember that the G projects usually are composed of A and B skills together. Again, this is an older project, older version, so you could use this as a reference, plus the scripture lectures that we're going to go through as well. And of course, there's a PowerPoint. I would like to know from you all, and you can chat to me privately or let me know through email if you find these PowerPoints helpful to you. I've only had one person actually mention them in the evaluations and just in passing period. So I'm not sure if having these here is really helpful to you. So if you feel like it's not, let me know. Pearson made these to try to help you see where certain functions and not functions, where certain command buttons are to make it easier for you. So you could see an image at any time of, oh, this is how I can get to this thing. Um, but just let me know. It's taking a while to load. So there we go. So this is here for you to use as well. So this is what we're going to be doing. So, but they do give, like I said, more of like a picture showing this is what this is. This is where this command button can be found and things like that. So it's a great source to look back onto, especially if you get stuck during the lesson. So that's there. And then your assignment for which will be next week will be 4A and 4B. So with that being said, I think we have enough to really get started with the scripture lecture for 4A. So I really like that what we've been doing the last couple of classes where someone else besides me shares their screen and does the Excel, and we kind of just talk about it on our way through. Do I have any volunteers for today to do so? Doc, you're not allowed to volunteer. Just so you know. Okay. All right. So I'll go for it then. Oh, who volunteers? Did you say yes? That's what I'm asking. If anyone wants to volunteer, just like we did last week, to share your screen and you'll go through the assignment on the typing in while we talk to you. You want to do it? Okay, cool. So I'll give you the power then. I'm gonna pass the ball to you. Let's see. Share mine. So for everyone else that's following along, I did send you an email on your school email that has the scripture lecture with the data file to start with. And oh, she already got hers up. with a data file to start with, and also the Word doc that has the instructions. So, all right. It's like we are prepped and ready to go. Okay, so Sandra, oh, looks like you have some updates available. I would not do those now because there's no telling how long it may take, and if it could break your Excel file, break your Excel. So, but what we're gonna do today, and this might be something that you all find very, very helpful to you in your life, is we're gonna look at loans and loan amortization. So it's like how much you would have to pay on a loan, possibly monthly payments, things like that. Also look at if you had different percentage, if you have different percentage rates and different number of months that you wanted to have to pay back. Like if you're doing like a 24-month loan, 2-year loan, 2.5-year loan, 3-year loan, and so on and so forth. We'll look at that as well. So to begin, we're going to get started with setting up our initial payment functions so we can understand what they look like and how to use them. So Sandra's going to share hers. And she ran into a little bit of some issues with that keyboard popping up on its own. You getting it up, Sandra? Coming back up soon? Or? Yeah. Yeah, that was the right one. Yes, you're correct. So you can share it again. You had the correct stuff. Okay, cool. So yeah. Okay. So she's saving hers right now. All right, sweet. So you already saved it. Great. So we're gonna start by going to cell B5. Excellent. So looking at the stuff that's above that, notice that we have the amount of a loan, we have the number of years we want to pay it back, and we have an interest rate. And so in this cell, as you can tell from A5, we want to figure out what the payment is per month. And so to do this, we're going to use the payment function. Now, I told you that I told you all several times how I prefer personally to type in the functions. But this is probably one of the cases where I personally think it is best when learning about it to use the formula wizard. So, or the function wizard, excuse me. So if you could, yes, go to the formulas tab. And then we're going to go to financial under the functions library group. You go to financial. So to the left, towards the left. Keep going to the left. You're under more functions, opposite direction, towards the beginning of this list here. Yeah, financial. Nope, you're close. Go back. Next to two after auto sum. You're going towards the right. There we go. Yeah, keep going. Financial. Financial. No. Um, yeah. Financial. You're under auto sum, go to financial. Okay, well, this works too. We can do it from here. If you you'll have to change the category though from statistical. If you click that drop down, change it to financial, and then at the top, if you just type in payment for the search, yeah. So, yeah. Click go. That should actually have it. Come on up. Click go. Oh, it's got a couple of them. Scroll down till you see PMT. If it comes up. Keep going.
What name?
PMT.
PMT. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
PMT.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it was under the financial list. So if anyone went that way, it'll be there as well. So
Financial here. Look at
yeah,
that.
that's okay. That's okay. You were able to you found a way to get to it by using the insert function. So you can click OK. Okay. And so it brings up that function argument wizard when we go in through the formula tab. So this is what I meant by by bringing this up. You have to go in through the formula tab to bring up the function. The cool part about this is, like I said, it can make it easier because you get to visually see what you need to put in each time, as opposed to having to know it offhand. So for the rate, notice that it says rate is the interest rate per period for the loan. For example, use the rate divided by 4 for quarterly payments at 6% APR. So that gives you an example to kind of think about as well. So for us, we are doing payments per month. That's monthly payments. So how many payments is that per year?
12.
12, yeah. So that means we're going to take our interest rate, which is in cell B4, and we're going to divide by 12. Excellent. Good. All right, so let's go to NPR.
So to say okay.
Oh, no. Go to the next one, NPR.
Okay, NPR. Okay.
So NPR is the number of payments. It's the total number of payments. So notice there it says NPR is the total number of payments for the loan. So we said that we're going to do this for a period of 5 years. Again, there are 12 months in a year, right? So in order to find that, we can just take B3, which is that period, and multiply by 12. Okay. So that, and if you look to the left there, there's an equals that even tells you 60. So that means we should have 60 periods on 60 payments throughout the entirety of this loan. Now let's go to PV. So it says PV is the present value, the total amount that a series of future payments is worth now. So yes, we're gonna take the amount. Oh, that's correct. All right, and so you can click OK. You can if you want to actually into FV, we won't put anything in that, but so you all can see what that's future value. So the balance that you want to attain as the last payment after the last payment. So what's the maximum amount that you want to pay on it? And then if you click on type, no, we're not gonna no, just in yeah, yep, just in that dialog box. Click type, just so we can read with that. No, I don't want you to type in there. Just click on the next one underneath it. Yeah, good. So that's just a value for you to decide if you're going to pay at the beginning or if you have your last payment be at the end. So sometimes you can pay more an extra payment at the beginning or extra at the end. So that's what that's about. So we aren't making any changes there, but if you click OK, it'll insert all of that and we get $14,153.43. So this is how much we have to pay per month, which is a huge amount. So Notice though that it is in red with those parentheses around it. Okay. Some of you that have already taken some finance classes may know what that means. Some of you may not. I put it in the yeah. Go ahead. I put the reason why that's there in the scripture lecture notes. So the reason that's there is because it's a negative value, which it makes sense if you think about it. Each month you are paying out of your pocket, so you're losing money, right? So it's a negative value. But many times when people are doing things with loans, and they're trying to describe the payments, they don't want to have a negative amount there. The reason for that is, let's say someone comes along and you like use Excel to calculate the payment per month, and you hand it back to them. They see that, they're like, "Oh, so you're gonna pay me 14,000? This is a legal document now." Like, no, we're not gonna pay you 14,000. You owe me 14,000. So, to make a change with this, if you would please click into B5, um, and you can go to the formula, or you can go to the formula bar if you prefer, or you could click inside of the cell, whichever one. But let's go. We want to insert a negative sign in front of the PMT. So put a negative sign in front of the PMT. So yeah, so go click, you can put your insertion point in front of PMT, in front of PMT. So between the equals and PMT. Yeah, put a negative sign right there. Good. Okay, so you can press enter. So now it's a positive result. So someone looks at this now, they say, "Oh, I owe you $14,000 because that's how much I had to pay per month." Okay. All right. So that's a setting up the function and how it works. But someone may look at this and say, "I can't pay 14,000 to you every month. I can only pay 13,000 max." So what do? Oh, you'll have to sit there and finagle the numbers until it comes out to be 1,300 or 13,000. You could do that, but Excel has a feature that will do it for you. So what we're going to do is use something known as goal seek. Yes, we have used it in another assignment or two assignments prior to this, but we're going to use it again. We're going to use it another time in a future, two future projects as well. But it's a very powerful tool that is important for you to learn because you can set a goal and then see what changes need to be made to get to that goal. Okay, so click on cell B5 because the guy's told you he can only do 13,000. So we're going to see how to make that change. So if you would go to the data tab, good. And then we're going to go to the forecast group. Yes. And then we're going to go to what if analysis. Oops. So you can close that. We're going to go to what if analysis right next to it. Other side. Yeah. Okay. We're going to go to, you're right. We're going to click on that. What if analysis. And we're going to go to goal seek. Goal seek. We'll look at the others later. So it says set cell. B5 was already selected, so that B5 is automatically inserted there. And that is the cell that we wish to set. Go to to value. If you click in that part for to value, we're going to change the value of the cell to 13,000. So having 13,000. Okay. And then hold on. Click into by changing cell. So we have some decisions to make, and we're going to do two different examples. So we want this to become 13,000. We need to change one of the other cells so that we can get the monthly payment to that. Well, let's change cell B2. So click on B2 or type B2 in, however you want to do it. All right. And click OK. So what we are saying is we want the payments to be 13,000 a month. We're going to keep the same interest rate. We're going to keep the same period, but we're going to change the amount of the loan. And so this allows us to see what the loan would have to be in order for our payment to be 13,000. Okay. You can click OK again. So this can be useful information, right? So someone came in and said, "I need $750,000." you say, okay, this is our bank's this is how many years we can give you to pay it off, or they may say they'll pay it off in 5 years. You type in your bank's interest rate. You got 14,000. They say I can't pay that. I can only do 13,000 a month. And then you say, okay, well, let's see if maybe we had a different loan. Then maybe you could put down a principal amount so that you can reach your 750,000, or go to another investor or whatever. This is the amount of money we can loan to you. So we can loan to you $688,879. Okay, so this is nice information to save, because this could be the first option they have, since they can't pay the 14,000. So what we're going to do is let's select A7, B7. Sorry, A7 to B7. Actually, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, that's good. That's right. You're right. So go to the Home tab, and we're going to merge and center that, because it's going to be our first option. And then give it a heading 2 style as well, if you would, please. Yeah. See, I told you guys you would remember where those things are, because you're going to use them enough. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the stuff that's in A2 to B5. So select A2 to B5. A2 to B5. Yeah. And we're going to copy it, and then we're going to paste it in A8. But use paste special, and let's get the values and number formatting only. So you knew exactly where to go. Good. All right, click on that. Okay, and then you can press the escape key. That way it will get out of that copying function. All right, great. So this is the first option that we'll give to them. They can reduce the loans amount. So the next thing that we're going to look at is what if we increase the number of years, so the amount of time they have to pay it off. So let's go back to cell B2, and let's change that back to 750,000. So you can just type in type it in 750,000. Cool. So now notice how everything at the top turns back to normal. But because we copy and pasted the values and not the whole cells itself, but just the values and number formatting, our first option, we have record of what it was still, right? So that's why we copied and pasted the values and number formatting only. Okay. All right. So let's go do goal seek again. So if you want to select cell B5 to start off, let's go back to the data tab, forecast group, what if analysis, goal seek. So you may notice from what it says in A13 that we're going to increase the number of years this time. So the set cell is still going to be B5. The to value, we're still going to change that to 13,000. And then by changing cell, we're going to click on B3, or you can type B3, however you want to do it, because we're going to be changing the number of years this time. So you can click OK. When we do so, we see that if we go a little beyond 5.5 years, that if we have a pay period of 5.5 years, then we can, a little more than that, we can do 13,000. Okay, so if you click OK there, let's kind of do the same setup that we did for A7 to B10. So if you would actually go to A7. And so instead of us doing a merge center and changing it to heading 2, we're going to use Format Painter. So if you go back to the Home tab, Format Painter, we can click on A13, and that format will automatically be pasted onto that cell. So it automatically merged and centered, and automatically changed it to heading 2 sales style. Great. Excellent. And so now let's take the information that we had up top for A2 to B5, and let's copy and paste its, and we're going to paste its, wait, you got to tell it where to go to though. So click down there, yeah. Yeah, now you can paste it. Yep, values and number formatting. Excellent. Okay, so cool. You can press escape now. All right, excellent. So let's click on cell B15. Cell B15. Because if you saw that, like if I handed that to you and I said, all right, since you can pay only 13,000, you have to pay it off in 5.510303896 years. You probably look at me like I was crazy, or maybe you would actually step up and say, how many months is that? So to make it a little easier, we'll do this. We will decrease the number of decimals there. So remember that's in the home tab, number format. Yes, you're in the right spot. So the number group, decrease decimals. So let's decrease it until we have 2 decimals. So if I say 5.51 years, you would probably say, okay, I got 5 years and then a little over half a year. So 7 months. You probably understand that. Okay. Excellent. So, all right. Well, that's pretty much it for the goal seek and the initial understanding of how the payment function works. So you can save here. Are there any questions on the payment function or on goal seek, how we make some changes to one cell and it got us to a certain goal? It got us to the payment goal that we wanted. Any questions? Okay. No? All right. So do me a favor, actually, if you would go back to the B3, change it to 5 again. Oops. So you got stuck in a cell, hit escape. Cool. There you go. All right. So yeah, we just make it 5.
Right now, to click here, and if you can do
Just
like
type.
type it
Yeah, just
5.
type. Yeah, just type 5 and then press enter. Press enter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So the reason I wanted you to do that is because when you look at this, this is probably going to be a lot more fulfilling to someone, right? Like if I came to you and said, I want to get a loan for $750,000 and I want to pay it off in 5 years. And then my bank, and you say as a bank owner, okay, I'm gonna have to give 5% interest rate. Here are the payments. I can initially show them this is what you wanted. This is how much you have to pay a month. They say I can't do that. It's like, all right, here's your first option. We can reduce the amount of the loan so we can get to the goal that you say that you can pay each month. Here's your second option. So we increase the number of years so we get the payments down to what you say that you want. We could go further if we wanted, right? We could change the interest rate. We're probably not going to, but we could see what the interest rate would have to be in order for their payments to just be. And so that would, but we don't have to do that for this assignment, but that's something for you to think about. You may even could do that on your own, so you could just test it. Again, I do think that this probably be the most useful assignment that we'll do in class to you all, because it's something that you could take practically out right now and use. Everyone has had to purchase a car or a home or something that they had, or something where they had a loan possibly at some point in their life, or something that they had to pay back after certain increments. This is a good tool to use to do so. But and also I know classes that have had this be an actual project. And they've asked students to do this in Excel. So I always think it's funny when they do that, because it's something that's very important to understand. So, but you know, you've come to the bank, you've asked for this information, and then you say, is there any way I can see like different interest rates maybe? Well, let's do that. Let's help this person by figuring out different interest rates. So we're gonna go to the next sheet. It's called payment table. Awesome. All right. And so the payment table, if you'll notice, at the top here for A2, it has B2, it has the amount of the loan, the same that we had before. It has the period, says 60, which is the 5 years that the person asked for at the beginning. The interest rate per year is also 5% already. So it looks like we're pretty much set up, ready to go. Right? So the only difference is that the payment function isn't set up yet here. So what I'm going to do is, or what we're going to do is, we're going to set up the payment function in a second. But before that, let's figure out some differences. So let's say they had a different number of months that they could do, or they had different interest rates that they could do. So what we're going to do is let's select C7, D7. So hit escape because I think you got stuck in it. Okay, so select C7, D7. All right, and then use the fill handle to drag it over to I7. As you do so, you should see a pattern come up in the screen tips. So go to I7. Yep. Use the fill handle to go to I7. As you notice, it's going up by 6 each time. Keep going. Go all the way to I7. Yep. So it's going up by 6 months each time, which is usually how loans go. People look at them in terms of 6 months. Sometimes they'll look at it in groups of 5. I don't really know why they do that, but 6 months is a common one. Okay. Now select B8 and B9. B8 and B9. B as in Baptista. Yes. Sweet. And we're going to use the fill handle to bring that on down to B24. Notice that each of these goes 3 decimals. Okay. This is generally how interest rates are given if you were to go to a bank. So now that we have this, what did we just do? Well, we kind of created a table of sorts. It's not a table by Excel standards, but it's a table by our standards. And we see at the top we have our number of monthly payments, and we see on as our row headers on the left side we have our different interest rates. And so what this means is we're going to have this thing fill out for each possibility. So if it has this interest rate with this number of payments, what would the payment be each month? We're going to have it fill out this whole table. So we could go in and set up equal payments for each one of these, but that is let's see, what's that? 7, and then that is what's that? 16, 17. So that is 70, 49. That's 119 different cells. You guys want to go through and do 119 cells of entering equals payment and filling out the information for it? I don't. Well, thankfully, we don't have to. Because of what we've set up, we can use something else that's in what if analysis known as a data table. And so before we do that, we need to set up the function we're going to use for the data table, and it has to go in a specific spot. It has to go in the upper left corner of our data table. So cell B7. So if you would click in cell B7, B as in boy. Yep, cool. So in cell B7, you can type equals. And notice that the name box changed to payment. But you can just type in PMT yourself. Okay. So go and click on it. And then the first thing it says is the rate. The rate is in B4. So you can type B4 or click on it, whichever you prefer. And then divide it by 12. Remember, we divided by 12 in the previous one because this looks at the, you have to divide by the number of payments per year. Good. So comma. So next is the number of payments. So ours is going to be, yes, that's correct. You can click on that. So 60 because it's 60 months. So comma. The next thing is our present value. So how much is the loan going to be worth? So also in B2, yep. So this time, what I want you to do is in the formula bar in front of B2, could you make that a negative? So yeah, just press, yep, just like that. So that's it, actually. You can press enter now. Okay, notice that we get that 14,000 like we did before. I asked her to put the negative on the actual present period, present value now. Notice that we get the same result, that it becomes positive. Think of it this way. You're taking out this loan. The loan is negative. It's a negative amount of money. So that means in return, the amount that you pay back towards it will be positive. Okay. So as long as you understand what it is saying to you, if you had kept this as negative, it would have been fine. But as I said, if you were to give this to someone else, they may say, does that mean they owe me money? This is something that actually happens. Okay, it's not like I'm not just saying that as a joke. I actually have tried playing that card before, knowing that something's a contract of sorts. Someone gave me a receipt, and the receipt had parentheses. It said parentheses around it means that it's negative. So actually, you owe me money. And that receipt was a receipt for a purchase, and so they did owe me money because it printed out that way. I gave them the money back and had to help them fix the reason why it was coming up that way, because they had no idea why it was coming up that way. So, yeah. Anyway, okay. So we're going to now create our data table. So before we do this, select B7 to I-24. B7 to I-24. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, so we did that because this is our whole table. The upper left corner has the function that we're going to use throughout this entire thing. The column headers have the number of payments, which is the NPR, imper. The row headers have our interest rates. So if we were to go to the data tab, and we were to go to the forecast group, to the what if analysis, there's another option there that you see known as data table. That's what we just created. So click on data table. So data table says what is the row input cell. So select B3. So just to explain what that is, it's saying on the row that I'm looking at where the function is in B7. So that row, which represents the number of payments, where's the initial number of payment? Well, we got it from B3. That's gonna, as it goes through the rest of these cells to fill it out, it knows then to take 48 and replace the 60 with that. To replace 54 and replace the 60 with that. Take the 60 and replace 60 with that. Okay. So go to column input cell. So it says, hey, what's in this column underneath me? Well, those are the interest rates. Where's the initial interest rate? Yes. It's in cell B4. So now that we have that information filled out, you can click OK. Lo and behold, here are all the different payments that we would have per month if we had set number of payments and set interest rate. Excellent. All right. So now that we got that taken care of, let's go look at cell F13. F13. Yes. Oops. So no, you're good. Just hit escape. You're good. So the reason I asked you to select F13 was because if you look at it, this is the closest thing we have to the 13,000. Right? This is exactly what I said I could pay. I could pay at most 13,000. Well, this gives me the closest thing to that. Right? I don't want to go to the other one above it because I'm not trying to pay that. I would love to pay the ones less than that, but I got to be reasonable with the bank too. right? And this gets me the closest to my 60 months and that 5% that the bank said. So maybe I can haggle with them to get down to 4.925% interest rate. And I only have to pay 6 extra months. So I have to pay towards for another half a year. Okay, so this is my best bet. Okay. So I've had people in the past say, well, aren't all of those good after that then? Well, they're not. The ones underneath that in that same number of monthly payments, they're great, right? But is your bank most likely, if they're telling you 5%, are they going to get down to 2 something? Probably not. Maybe you can start from there with haggling, but as long as you get them to at least 4.25, then you're good. And you and the bank will be satisfied, probably. Okay. If you go past that, those are extra 6 months of payments that you have to pay. So it may seem like, oh, those numbers are smaller each month. That's better, but it's not, right? Because you have to pay more times. Okay. Um, so since we have this guy highlighted, let's make this as a good note. So let's go to the home tab. And we're gonna give this a note cell style. Yep, good. Mhm. I believe I may have told you guys that that was a good one. That note is another popular one used. This is how most people use it to take note of something that's important on the sheet. So that's what we did. We just noted that. So let's move on from here. We can spruce this data table up a little bit, make it a little nicer to look at. So if you would select cells C7 to I7, C7 to I7, C7 to I7. Go up, 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 up. Here we go. Sweet. Let's make that bold and centered. Okay. And then select B8 to B24.
What did you say? BH?
B8 to B24.
The BH to B24.
And so we're going to do the same thing, make it bold and centered. Excellent. So those kind of stand out more, makes it a little easier for you to follow along with a certain monthly payments is under. So we want to auto fit all the column widths in the worksheet. So give you guys a fast way to do this. Click the upper left hand corner where you have the arrow. It selects everything, and so now you can auto fit. So just double click between boundaries or however you like to do it. Yep. There you go. So you can click somewhere else now. And that's if you ever have to do all of them at once, that's the fastest way to do so. So yep. So you can save the workbook now from where you're at. Your extra credit here. Excellent. Okay. So are there any questions about a data table? You might look at this and say, I can see some uses for this. Think about like maybe when you learn how to do plot points. You had an X and a Y component. You may recall that. Or maybe if you have to plot a function or you want to plot points on something or whatever, you could put the function in the corner and then have your column headers and have your row headers, and then just have it calculate something for you based off of that. Okay. Um, and it will fill in all the rest of the data there. Some people think of this as a two-way table, because it is a two-way table, because what you have in your column and row affect what happens to the cell. Okay. Any other questions about this? Okay. All right. Well, cool. So we're gonna look at some more naming next then. So yeah, we have enough time to get started. So let's go to quarterly merchandise costs. So the quarterly merchandise cost worksheet, not over on here. Let's take a look at what we see here. So we see first, second, third, and fourth quarter information. We have different merchandises on the left, right, as our row headers, bedspreads, fitted sheets, and all this stuff. And then at the bottom here, we can see the totals for per quarter, right? So we can see how much it costs to get these items each quarter, and then we see how much it is in total each quarter that we're spending, right? So from here, you guys probably could make some analysis that, oh, well, we're increasing in the amount that we spend each quarter. Maybe we should make some changes. Uh, so there's some different analysis that we can do with this, but to make it a little easier, we're going to combine some things together because maybe it's not just one individual thing we're purchasing. Maybe it's stuff that has to do with the bed that costs more, or stuff that's just accessories, or things that are just lights or have to do with lighting. So we're going to group a couple of these things together. So let's look at all the stuff that has to do with the bed. So how about we select cell B6 to E11. Uh-oh. Cancel. So B6 to E11. Yep. That's all the stuff that has to do with bedding. As you'll notice, you got bedspreads, fitted sheets, flat sheets, pillowcases, pillows, and mattress pads. That's everything that has to do with your bed, right? So with that selected, what we're going to do is we're going to give that a name. Okay, so it will. So we're going to call it bedding cost because it's the cost for all the stuff that's to do with the bed. So I've shown you before a way to very simply give something a name by just typing it in the name box after selecting it. I'm going to show you other ways to do so as well. So if you go to the formulas tab and then you go to the define names group. No, the define names group. That's the function library group. Remember the groups are named at the bottom of it. Yep. So go over one more. All right, so this is the define names group. How do I know that? Look at the bottom of the group. Look at the bottom of the group. I just wanted so you can know where names are. So at the very bottom, you see how it says defined names? That's how you tell the name of a group. Okay. So we're gonna go to the define name command. Yes. And click define name. And so I just want you to notice what it does. So it says new name. So it wants us to give it a new name. The refers to has what we have selected already. The name looked for something around it that could be used for a name. So it picked first quarter. That's not the name we want. So we're going to remember Excel's always trying to help you, but sometimes it gets things wrong. This is one of those times it got it wrong. So what do we want to name this? We're going to call this bedding cost. So it has to be one word. So bedding, and to keep it one word, but to show the separation, we'll do an underscore and cost. Okay. With an S, cost. Sweet. Okay. So before you click OK, I just want you all to know something else. So where it says scope, in terms of this class, anytime you do this, you'll just use the workbook. But if you click the drop down there, you could tell it to go to a certain sheet within the workbook. We want it to go to be a name that can be used across all the workbooks or across the entire workbook, excuse me. So we could use it on multiple sheets if we want to later on, which we will do. Okay. So that's very important to know. Whenever you name something, you need to decide, do you want it to only be named that on this sheet or to use that for the entire workbook? Okay. All right. So you can click OK with workbook selected. Yeah. Click OK. And so now you'll notice in the name box, in the corner top there, name box, you'll see it says bedding costs. Okay. All right. So we want to do that for some other items. So we're gonna look at some accessories now. So let's do B12 to E14. E14. Yep, 14. B12 to E14. Yep, cool. And so these are all going to be accessory costs. So I showed you guys how to do it using the name box earlier. If you would please go to create from selection this time under you're in the right spot. So under the define names group, go to create from selection. Create from selection. Nope. Nope. Go to create from selection. Yep. All right. So oh sorry, actually hit cancel on this. Undo it a different way. Go to name manager. Okay. Click on new. So that's another way you can get to creating a new name. This one's going to be called accessories cost.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Can you spell for me? Accessory
No,
is
yeah.
A
ACCESSORIES.
E. Thank you.
You're good. You're welcome. Underscore and then cost. Excellent. All right. And you can press OK. Cool. All
Thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. And then let's see. Now that we got that, let's do B16 to B17. Oops. B16 to B17. Uh, B16 to B17. Or sorry, B16 to E17. So you got A selected. We just want B. B16. Yeah, there you go. E17. Yeah. Okay, this time go to the name box. So this on where the formula bar is. Where the formula bar is. In the corner, right underneath that I, where you have the updates available.
I'm sorry again. Is that like close to the define name? Here?
No. I said go to the name box. The name box. So
Okay.
yes, that one. Yep.
Okay.
All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to type in lighting cost. Lighting underscore cost.
Lighting. I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
lighting. LIGH. Sorry.
L
LIGHT
I G H T N
ING.
G.
Underscore cost.
Okay. Just like
And
that.
then press enter. Okay. So those are three ways that you can define stuff very easily. So I'm going to show you one more. If you could, I don't think I had you guys do this earlier. No, I didn't. So select A15. So if you notice, we skipped the chairs. A15 to E15. So here's the fourth way that you can do this. Go to create from selection. And then it says create the name for value in the, notice how left column is selected. Well, in the left column, it says chairs. That's a good name for it, chairs, because it's the only thing that has to do with chairs. So that's actually what we're going to do. So click OK. All right, cool. And so now what I want you to do is click somewhere else. go to the name box and type in chairs, or you can select chairs and press enter. Yep. See how it goes to that location, goes to B15 East 15. Okay, cool. So if you already have the correct name that you want, and it's like to the left of your selected data, if it's to the right of it, if it's above it, below it, then you can just use create from selection. Okay. Something else cool to show you with this is we can insert new data into a named range. So if you go to I-17, or sorry, if you go to row 17, select row 17, and right click on it, or we want to insert a new row above it. So, yep. Okay. So we're gonna type in some things. I gave you some data to type into this on the instructions, but I'll just read it out to you. So lamp shades. Yep, lamp shades. Okay. And then for the first quarter, so you can press tab if you want, or you can do that too. 568. Okay. Press tab. 433. Press tab. 683. Press tab. 758. Sweet. Okay, cool. So what I want you to do now is if you were to go up to the name box, go to the lighting cost. Notice how what we just inserted is also included in that, even though it wasn't there beforehand. That's because we inserted it within that same name. Okay. All right. And so I think that I honestly think this may be a good stopping point for now. There's not much left for us to do um, with the annual merchandise costs, but I think this is a good stopping point. Because all that's left is to show you how you can use these you can use the names into functions. Uh, but I do want to stop here. Does anyone have any questions about anything that we did today, especially with this naming stuff? I'll probably go over it again on Thursday. Will be great. All right. Well, 3G is due on Friday. I posted 1A, 1B a while back. I think I went through and made sure I put for people to resubmit, make corrections, resubmit if they had anything to do. Yes, on Thursday we'll see a little bit more about names, and we'll also see how to make something that looks like a form, where you can just do it based off because of the things being named. We can actually just make a drop down from that and use that list in other places. So we're gonna see how to do that too. Have you ever like gone online or filled out a form and there's like a drop down list? And sometimes it tells you, oh, you can't enter that into this list because that's not one of the options and stuff like that. We'll see how to make one of those in Excel. It all has to do with the power of a name. Yeah. Right. And we'll see how to use a name in a function as well. And a formula. Whew. All right, cool. Well, if there are no questions, uh, if you feel like you're behind on something, don't fret. Yeah, you can stop sharing your screen. If you feel like you're behind on something, do not fret. Class wise and stuff that we're going over, we are a week ahead. If I had finished today, we would have ended up being a little further than that, which we probably could have honestly finished, but I don't want to rush it since we are already a week ahead. I want to make sure everyone is getting the most out of what we're going over, um, and that you all are still enjoying it too. So, but if you do feel like you're behind in some sense, again, don't fret about it. You're probably not. So you should be working on 3G this week, getting it done. If you've already finished that, then great. Then you can move on to 4 in the beginning of 4A, since that's what we just kind of went over. Um, but yeah, you all are doing great. So I want to let you all know that. And let's keep going. Yeah. So I will see you all on Thursday. And um, yeah, let me know if you have any questions along the way. I'll try to post 2A, 2B um, as soon as possible. It'll probably be out by Friday, to just being honest. Um, so that way you can know what corrections to make there. There's already notes in the comments. I'm sure that you all have already seen that, but I want to make sure I go through again, make sure I didn't miss anything that you did get correct and then I marked it wrong. And if you see stuff like that, that you're like, I think I did do this right, just let me know, and I can maybe explain further if it's on why it's wrong or make a change because I could make a mistake. So, all right, cool. Well, in that case, I'll start recording, and I will see you all on Thursday.